Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, kings and queens in waiting, let me tell you right now there is no excuse for trying. There is no justification for hesitation. If you've got breath in your body, you've got purpose in your bones. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to have a perfect plan. But what you do need, what you must have is the courage to try. Excuses are the lies we tell ourselves when fear whispers louder than faith. We say, I don't have enough, I didn't come from the right family, I don't have the right education. But let me ask you, what did David have but a sling and a stone? What did the widow have but a jar of oil? What did you have when you got back up after life knocked you flat? You had will, you had grit, you had God's breath still in your lungs, and that is enough. We live in a world that wants results without resistance. Success without struggle, rewards without the road, but anything worth having is worth pressing through pain to pursue. You can't let obstacles become your obituary. You can't die in delay, bury your dreams in excuses, and then wonder why destiny passed you by. It's not about how fast you run, it's about whether you refuse to stop running. It's not about what you didn't start with, it's about what you're willing to build with your bare hands. Don't sit on the sidelines, analyzing your weakness while others run with half your gift and twice your hustle. Don't you dare say, I'll try when I'm ready, because let me tell you something, you'll never feel ready. Trying doesn't wait on comfort, trying doesn't ask for permission, trying doesn't need a guarantee. Trying just needs faith. You don't need an open door, kick one down. You don't need everyone to believe in you, believe in yourself first. Because when you try, even if you fall forward. When you try, even if you fail, you learn strength in the struggle. Trying is the sound of chains breaking. Trying is the echo of the grave being robbed of your potential. Trying is a revolution against regret. You may not have everything, but you have no excuse not to try. So stand up, wipe your tears, shake the dust off your past. You owe your calling a chance. You owe your future a fight. You owe yourself the dignity of trying. There is no excuse for trying, because trying is the doorway to triumph. Excuses are the soft pillows we lay our heads on when the weight of responsibility feels too heavy. They are the warm blankets we pull over our hesitation and fear, covering up our untapped potential with reasons that sound logical but are rooted in limitation. Excuses don't come dressed in ugliness or truth. They wear the garments of comfort and convenience. But make no mistake, every excuse is a lie we whisper to ourselves to avoid confronting our calling. Excuses are dangerous because they sound reasonable. They don't scream, they whisper. They don't accuse, they justify. I'm too old, we say. I'm too young. I don't have the experience. I don't know the right people. What if I fail? What if I look foolish? And so we stay stuck, paralyzed in potential, because it's easier to blame our stagnation on circumstances than to take responsibility for our own inaction. But hear this truth: excuses may protect your ego, but they kill your destiny. They build invisible prisons around your mind, your gifts, your opportunities. And the worst part is, you hold the key in your own hand, yet you've convinced yourself that the door is locked from the outside. When we make excuses, we rewrite our identity around our limitations rather than our possibilities. We start to believe we are the excuse. I can't do it becomes I'm not good enough. It's not the right time becomes it will never be the right time. That is the slow erosion of self, worth when we trade in our God, given potential for the counterfeit comfort of delay. Excuses do not serve your growth. They serve your fear. They are not built from truth. They are born from trauma, from rejection, from disappointment. Someone told you that you couldn't. You failed once and never forgot it. You tried and were mocked, and now the voice of that failure plays louder than the voice of faith. But let me tell you something. Your future does not have to pay rent to your past. Your destiny does not owe an explanation to your pain. Excuses are a language of the defeated. They sound noble, but they leave you numb. I'm just being realistic, we say. I'm protecting myself. But what if the very thing you call protection is your prison? What if the walls you built to guard your heart are now the same walls that keep out purpose? Let's go deeper. The truth is, excuses are not just statements, they are symptoms. They are signs that somewhere along the line we chose comfort over courage. And once comfort becomes your God, you will sacrifice greatness at its altar. The world doesn't need more people who play it safe. The world needs those who are willing to risk looking foolish in pursuit of something greater. We must be honest with ourselves. When we peel back the layers of our excuses, what do we find? Fear of failure, fear of exposure, fear of being seen trying and not succeeding. But if your goal is to avoid pain, you'll also avoid purpose. Purpose is always wrapped in pressure. Destiny always arrives dressed in discomfort. You cannot walk into your future without first confronting the lies that kept you from moving. Some of us inherited excuses. We grew up hearing them. Generations passed down the belief that we couldn't rise, couldn't grow, couldn't go beyond the borders of where we came from. And if you're not careful, you will repeat that cycle not because you weren't capable, but because you never questioned the excuses you were handed. But today, let me speak life into you. You have permission to break the lie. You have permission to rise beyond the limits that were spoken over you. You have permission to believe again, to dream again, to step again, even with trembling knees. Excuses will always exist, but so will grace. So will strength. So will the power to choose differently. You see, excuses will ask you to wait until conditions are perfect. But let me tell you, perfection is a myth. There will never be a perfect time, a perfect opportunity, a perfect you. There will only be now, and whether or not you are willing to move in the midst of uncertainty. The people you admire, the ones you think have it all together, they don't move because they have no fear. They move in spite of it. It's easy to watch others and say, they had the resources, they had the network, they were lucky. But you don't know their midnight prayers. You don't know the weight they carried. You don't know the tears they cried when no one was watching. The difference is not in talent or timing, it's in the refusal to let excuses dictate the outcome. You are not too late, you are not too far gone. You have not missed your window, but you must stop using your wounds as reasons to wait. There is a healer in your heart and a fire in your belly, and both are stronger than the excuse that says, I can't. You must declare war on the lies that have held you hostage. You must stand in the mirror and speak truth louder than fear. Say to yourself, I can because I must. I will because I'm called. I'm not waiting for the right feeling, I'm stepping in faith. The enemy of your future is not your past. It's your permission. It's you giving yourself permission to keep playing small. It's you giving yourself permission to sit when you were born to stand. But today is a new day. Today you strip that permission away from your excuses and give it back to your purpose. Excuses are clever. They disguise themselves in good intentions. They wait until you're tired, until you're discouraged, until you're overwhelmed. But now that you know what they are, now that you've pulled off their mask, you are no longer bound by them. You are no longer ruled by the soft lies that tell you to shrink. Every time you feel an excuse rising up, ask yourself, is this the voice of my future or the echo of my fear? And if it's fear, confront it. Challenge it, speak to it, and move anyway. You were not created to live behind glass, watching others run. You were born to race, to rise, to roar. There is no glory in comfort, but there is greatness in courage. You don't have to be fearless, just faithful. Let this be the moment you stop negotiating with the lie. Let this be the season you evict every excuse. Let this be the day you say with holy fire, no more, not me, not now. Because your life is too important. Your impact is too needed, and your destiny is too divine to be delayed by something as empty as an excuse. So rise, even if your legs tremble, speak, even if your voice shakes. You are ready not because of what you have, but because of who you are. And when you understand that, you'll never again give power to an excuse. You already have enough to start. What if the only thing standing between you and your destiny is the lie that you are not ready? What if the only thing keeping you from breaking through is the belief that you need more, need better, need approval, need something you do not yet have? For too long we've been taught to wait, wait for the right time. Wait for more money, wait for the right connections, wait until the pain fades, wait until someone comes along and rescues us from our hesitation. But the truth is, the waiting isn't what's hurting us, it's the doubting. You don't need more to begin. You don't need a bigger bank account, a longer resume, or applause from the crowd. You don't need a room full of yesies when heaven has already whispered one. The miracle is not in the provision you're waiting for, it's in the motion you're afraid to make. There is power in recognizing that what you have right now, as broken as it may seem, as insufficient as it may feel, is still enough to build. There is power in starting from the dirt, from the overlooked places, from the not enough corners of life. When you make peace with your portion, when you stop despising the small things in your hands, you will realize that the seed is never as impressive as the harvest, but it is just as essential. The most dangerous thing you can do is underestimate what's in your possession. You may look at your life and see fragments of hope, fragments of opportunity, fragments of strength, but don't let the fragments fool you. The loaves and fish didn't look like much either, but they fed a multitude. A slingshot didn't look like military strategy, but it brought down a giant. A voice that stuttered didn't seem like leadership material, but it delivered a nation. Over and over again, we see examples of people who didn't have all the answers, didn't have all the resources, didn't have the perfect timing, but they had the courage to start anyway. The issue is not whether you have enough. The issue is whether you trust what you already have. We are constantly distracted by what we think we lack, measuring our lives against other people's highlight reels. But comparison will rob you of clarity. It will blind you to your own blessings. It will convince you that the tools you've been given are inferior when, in fact, they are exactly what is needed for your assignment. You already have the passion. You already have the burden. You already have the fire. You already have the scars that prove you survived, and the tears that testify to your resilience. You already have the nights you didn't quit, the mornings you chose to rise again. You already have what can't be taught, faith, and when you move in faith, you tap into a flow that resources alone can never provide. It is often in the trying that the tools show up. The door doesn't open until you knock. The provision doesn't come until you move. The clarity doesn't appear until you step into the fog. You don't find your voice by being silent, you find it by speaking, even when it shakes. You don't find your strength by hiding, you find it by fighting. You don't need everything, you need motion. Movement creates momentum. Momentum gives birth to opportunity. Opportunity unlocks the next level. But if you sit still, convinced you're not enough, you'll watch the days pass you by while others build empires with less. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in history didn't start with full understanding, they started with full conviction. You don't have to know every detail. You don't have to have a foolproof plan. Sometimes all you need is the decision to no longer stay where you are. What's in your hands right now may not look like much to others, but if you dare to use it, if you dare to offer it, to stretch it, to invest it, it will multiply. The 5 talents multiplied not because the man had more, but because he moved with what he had. Don't bury your gift in the soil of insecurity. Don't hide your idea behind the curtain of fear. If you're waiting until you feel qualified, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. It's not about who has more. It's about who moves with what they've got. A vision without action is a fantasy. A gift without use is a waste. A purpose without pursuit is a silent scream. Let others have the spotlight. Let others have the resources. But don't let them have more faith than you, because faith, when activated, draws provision out of places you didn't even know existed. Faith fills empty jars. Faith makes a way in the wilderness. Faith will introduce you to favor that your resume could never earn. What's in your heart is stronger than what's in your bank account. What's in your soul is deeper than what's in your storage. What's in your spirit is more powerful than what's in your situation. If you don't believe you have enough to start, then start anyway. Start messy, start nervous, start small, but start, because action silences doubt, and progress fuels confidence. You will look back one day and thank God that you didn't wait for everything to line up. You'll be grateful that you trusted the whisper over the worry, that you chose obedience over optics, that you chose movement over mastery. You were never meant to have it all figured out before you began. You were meant to begin and discover that in the process you would become. So begin. Write the book with what you know. Launch the business with what you have. Heal with the peace you've got. Lead with the wisdom you've gained. Serve with the compassion you carry. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing. When you use what you have, you invite heaven to multiply it. When you stretch your hand, God stretches his. When you do what's natural, you open the door for the supernatural. Don't wait another day. Don't postpone another promise. Don't delay another dream. You are not lacking, you are loaded. You are not empty, you are equipped. You are not too late, you are right on time. You already have enough to start. You want the glory, but do you understand the story? You desire the elevation, but are you prepared for the excavation? You see, we often want the end result without going through the process. We want the crown without the cross. We want the stage without the sacrifice. But if you skip the struggle, you miss the very chapters that shape you. The struggle is not a mistake. It is not a detour. It is not a punishment. The struggle is a necessary classroom. It is the fire that forges the steel of your soul. It is the pressure that produces the diamond of your character. It is the dark room where your dreams are developed, where your faith is refined, and where your spirit learns how to rise again and again and again. You cannot have a testimony without a test. You cannot walk in power without first wrestling through pain. Everybody loves the finished product, but few want the process that produces it. We post the mountaintops, but it's in the valleys where we truly learn who we are, and more importantly, where we learn who God is. The struggle teaches you. It teaches you to depend, to discern, to develop. It stretches you beyond your comfort zone, forces you to face yourself, and breaks you free from the illusion that you could ever do this on your own. It is in the moments when you are crying in secret, when your prayers sound more like groans than words, that your soul is being shaped for something greater than comfort. It's being shaped for calling. Some of us pray to be delivered from the struggle, but God, in his wisdom, chooses to deliver us through it. Because there are some things you can only learn in the storm. There are depths of character that are only unlocked through adversity. There is a kind of strength that cannot be manufactured by applause or affirmation. It can only be mined through difficulty. Don't despise the struggle. Don't curse it. Don't rush to escape it. Learn to endure it. Because endurance produces something that ease never could. It produces resilience. It produces wisdom. It produces perspective. When you've suffered a while, when you've wept through nights and still woke up to walk forward, you develop a fire in your belly that nothing and no one can put out. That fire is not pride, it's purpose. You will never know the true weight of your faith until it has been tested. It's easy to praise when everything is working. It's easy to smile when doors are opening. But can you still lift your hands when the door slams in your face? Can you still believe when the answer is no? Can you still walk when the path disappears? That's what struggle does. It separates the superficial from the sincere. It reveals whether you're in it for the blessing or for the builder. And while the world may only see your highlight reel, the struggle is your behind, the scenes, your secret training ground, your private gym where your spirit lifts the heavy weight of hardship. Your struggle is not your shame, it is your shaping, and sometimes the greatest strength is not in how loud you shout, but in how deeply you stand, when everything in you wants to quit, but you keep going. When you wipe your tears and still get back in the ring, that's power, that's growth, that's the evidence of transformation. Some of the most powerful people you admire were not born in perfect peace. They were born in fire, molded in rejection, shaped in silence, trained in seasons of invisibility. Before the stage they were in a cave. Before the anointing was public, the struggle was private, and the same is true for you. You don't need people to see your struggle for it to be valid. Just because they don't understand your fight doesn't mean it isn't real. What matters is that you keep going, that you stay faithful to the process. Because the pain is not permanent, but the lesson is. The season may shift, but what you become in it will remain with you forever. Stop waiting for struggle-free seasons. They don't exist. Life is not about avoiding difficulty. It's about learning how to walk through it without losing who you are. It's about learning how to be bruised and still believe, broken but still building, weary but still worshiping. That kind of faith cannot be shaken by storms, because it was born in them. Let me tell you, some of the most powerful breakthroughs come right after the point where you wanted to give up. The enemy always fights the hardest when you're closest to the promise. So if all hell has broken loose in your life, maybe it's not because you're off course, but because you're too close to destiny to turn back now. You're not struggling because you're weak. You're struggling because you're growing. You're shedding the old skin. You're being stretched into new territory, and growth is painful. Stretching hurts, but staying stagnant will kill your calling. You've got to trust that the same God who allowed the struggle is the God who's using it. He doesn't waste pain, he doesn't waste time, he doesn't waste tears. Every sleepless night, every silent prayer, every closed door, every battle you had to fight alone, it is not forgotten. It is not meaningless. It is part of your becoming. Don't try to erase the struggle from your story. Embrace it, tell it, own it, because it is the very thing that will connect you to others. It is the thing that will give your words weight, the thing that will give your walk authenticity. The struggle is not just a season, it is a tool. You will never know how much you can survive until you've had to, and some of you reading this know exactly what that feels like. You know what it's like to smile in public and fall apart in private. You know what it's like to encourage others while wondering if you'll make it through the night. And yet you're still here. That is strength. That is proof. That is your testimony. So carry your scars with pride. They are not signs of defeat, they are signs of healing, proof that the wound didn't win, and when people ask you how you made it, you won't point to your perfection. You'll point to your perseverance, you'll point to the grace that carried you through what should have broken you. You may be in the struggle right now, you may be in the darkest chapter of your story. But hold on, don't rush to the ending just yet, because when the breakthrough comes, and it will not just be a relief. It will be a revelation of who you really are, a revelation of what you really carry, a revelation of how the pressure didn't crush you, it created you. So stand tall, even if you're tired, even if you're uncertain, even if you're trembling, because the struggle is not the end. It is the beginning of a deeper version of you. It is the place where purpose is birthed, where power is awakened, and where your true story begins to rise from the ashes. The struggle is part of the story. You don't have to be perfect to begin. You don't have to have it all figured out to take a step. You don't need every resource lined up, every weakness resolved, or every flaw fixed before you start trying. Trying is not reserved for the qualified. Trying is what qualifies you. The act of showing up, even when you feel unworthy, even when you feel afraid, is more powerful than standing still and waiting for perfection to arrive. Some of the greatest victories in life are not won by the flawless, but by the faithful. Not by those who always knew what to do, but by those who refused to give up while learning how to do it. You don't need to be polished, you just need to be present. You don't need to be extraordinary. You just need to be willing, because trying doesn't demand perfection. It demands your participation. Too many people are waiting for a version of themselves that may never arrive. They are waiting to become someone who doesn't make mistakes, who doesn't fall short, who doesn't feel insecure. But that version of you is a myth. The truth is, real growth, real change, and real impact are made by the you who is imperfect but intentional, the you who is still healing but still moving, the you who doubts sometimes but dares to act anyway, There is a lie that tells us if we are not the best, we shouldn't even try. If we can't guarantee the outcome, we shouldn't risk the start, but that kind of thinking is paralyzing. It keeps gifts buried and dreams boxed up. It silences voices that were meant to speak. It holds back potential that was born to be expressed, because perfection is not a prerequisite for progress. Progress is born from the courage to try again and again without the need to get it right every single time. You may stumble, you may struggle, you may fall flat on your face, but none of that disqualifies you. The only thing that can truly stop you is the decision not to try at all. Every great journey is marked by missteps. Every champion was once a beginner who dared to try. And if you look closely at anyone you admire, you'll find behind the scenes a long trail of failed attempts, awkward starts, and moments of deep doubt. But they kept going, they kept trying, and so can you. You don't have to compare your start to someone else's finish. You don't need your chapter 1 to look like their chapter 20. You are allowed to be a work in progress. You are allowed to grow in public. You are allowed to start small, to start scared, to start unsure, because trying is not about arrival. It is about intention. It is about movement. It is about giving yourself permission to begin even when you are not ready. Some of the most powerful things you will ever do in your life will be done while you are still nervous. You will speak when your voice shakes. You will lead when your hands tremble. You will step into rooms where you feel inadequate. And in those moments, you will discover a strength that was hidden beneath your fear. You will discover that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move anyway. There will always be critics. There will always be voices both internal and external that say you are not enough, but trying silences the lie that you have to be flawless to be faithful. Every time you take a step, you are proving that perfection is not the point obedience is. Faithfulness is, effort is. You are not trying because you are perfect. You are trying because you are called, because you believe there is something worth pursuing, even if it costs you your comfort. When you try, you give yourself a chance to grow. You give yourself room to evolve. You open the door to opportunity. But when you demand perfection from yourself before you begin, you close off the very experiences that would shape you into what you are meant to become. Trying is the seed of every breakthrough. You cannot harvest where you have not planted. You cannot learn if you do not begin. You may not feel qualified. You may not feel ready. But the truth is, no one really does. Read the stories of those who made a mark in history, and you'll find people who were unsure, people who were afraid, people who were flawed, and yet they made a decision to try, a decision to rise, a decision to answer the call in spite of the doubt that echoed inside them. It is easy to disqualify yourself when you focus only on what you lack, but you are not defined by what you do not have. You are defined by what you do with what you do have. You have a voice, use it. You have time, steward it. You have pain, transform it. You have experience, share it. You have presence, show up with it. Your trying makes room for your becoming. There will be days when your trying feels like failing. You will give your best and not see the results. You will take steps that seem to lead nowhere. But even in those moments, you are building something. You are cultivating resilience. You are proving to yourself that you are not easily broken, that you will not retreat, that your effort is not tied to applause but to purpose. You are not here to impress, you are here to impact, and sometimes the greatest impact is made by people who dared to try when everything said they shouldn't. People who moved forward when the circumstances were unfavorable, people who believed in the process more than the outcome. Trying is a seed. Keep planting, keep watering, keep showing up, because your breakthrough may not be in the first try. It may not even be in the 15th. But if you keep going, something will shift, something will open, something will change. You are not being asked to be perfect. You are being asked to be present, to be faithful, to bring what you have, to do what you can. And when you do, you align yourself with grace that meets you in motion. Doors that would never open for the perfect begin to open for the persistent. Miracles begin to move in the direction of the ones who won't stop knocking. So release the need to impress. Let go of the pressure to have it all together. Take the step, write the page, say the words. Start the work, and trust that what you are building in imperfection is more powerful than anything you could build by waiting for the right moment. This is the moment, the one you are in, not someday. Not when, not after, but now. Trying doesn't require perfection. It only requires your yes. And when you give your yes, even in your weakness, even in your wonder, you open the door to a future that can only be reached by those who refuse to let fear define their faith. You have permission to begin. You have permission to stumble. You have permission to rise again and again. Because perfection is not your goal. Obedience is. Growth is. Becoming is. And trying is the first step on the road to all of it. There is a quiet thief that doesn't come in the night. It walks beside you in daylight. It sits with you when you scroll. It whispers in the moments you should be celebrating. It steals not your money, not your home, not your reputation, but something even more sacred. It steals your joy, it steals your focus, it steals your sense of identity. This thief is comparison. Comparison does not ask permission. It slips in through the smallest crack, through an image, a word, a glance, and begins to poison your perspective. Suddenly, what you were proud of now seems small. What once satisfied you now feels like not enough. The very thing you prayed for becomes dull in your eyes, not because it lost value, but because you allowed someone else's version of success to distort how you see your own. It happens silently, you don't even notice it at first. You're scrolling through highlights of someone else's life, and you begin to question your own. They're farther ahead, they're more polished. They have the platform, the applause, the accolades. And you wonder, why not me? Why am I not there yet? Why does it feel like I'm behind? And that's when the thief begins to work. It distracts you from your lane. It convinces you to measure yourself by someone else's ruler. It robs you of your pace, your peace, and your purpose. You start to run a race you were never called to run. You start to chase a version of success that wasn't designed for your hands. And slowly your vision becomes blurred, not by failure, but by fixation. But here is the truth you must remember. You are not behind, you are not late, you are not lacking. You are exactly where you are supposed to be for your journey, your growth, your story. The timing of your life is not defective just because it doesn't match the timeline of another. Their path is not your path. Their win is not your loss. Their rise does not mean your fall. The blessing on their life does not cancel what is coming for you. Comparison is deceptive because it often presents the best of others against the worst of ourselves. It shows us the finished product but hides the process. It reveals the harvest but not the hours of sowing. It displays the smile but conceals the scars, and so we end up envying something that is incomplete in our view, and we diminish what is sacred in our hands. You are not created to be a copy. You are not formed to be a reflection of someone else's highlight reel. You were designed uniquely, purposefully, with intention. The gifts in you, the voice you carry, the journey you walk, these are not accidents. They are assignments, and when you abandon your assignment to pursue someone else's, you step out of alignment, not just with purpose, but with peace. Every time you look over the fence and compare, you weaken your own soil. You forget to water your ground. You neglect the seeds you were meant to cultivate. And then you wonder why nothing is growing. It's not because you're not capable. It's because your attention has been hijacked by what doesn't belong to you. This does not mean you should not admire others. Admiration is healthy, inspiration is good, but when admiration turns into envy, when inspiration becomes insecurity, it's no longer helping you, it's hindering you. Someone else's excellence should not make you feel inferior. It should remind you of what is possible. It should lift your eyes, not lower your confidence. There is a lane carved out just for you. It may not be as visible yet. It may not be as applauded. It may not have the crowd, but it is yours. It is where your grace lives. It is where your oil flows. It is where your fire burns brightest, and the more you commit to your lane, the more fruit you will bear. Not because you are competing, but because you are aligned. Let go of the need to be impressive. Let go of the need to keep up. Let go of the lie that says you're not doing enough because someone else is doing more. Doing more doesn't mean becoming more. Busyness is not always progress. Visibility is not always value. There is worth in the hidden seasons. There is growth in the quiet places. There is power in becoming, even if no one sees it yet. Celebrate others, yes, but don't curse your own soil while you're clapping for theirs. Learn to rejoice with those who rise, but do not forget to speak life over your own rise. You can appreciate someone's breakthrough and still wait with faith for yours. You can honor their speed without doubting your direction. You don't have to win like them. You just have to win as you. That's the victory that matters. That's the race you were born to run. Trying to become someone else will only leave you exhausted and empty, because you'll never fully embody what wasn't meant for you. But when you own who you are, flaws, process, journey, all of it, there is a power that flows, a confidence that cannot be shaken, a peace that cannot be stolen. The thief of comparison will always lurk, waiting for an opportunity to creep into your thoughts, but you have the authority to silence it. To remind yourself of what is true: you are chosen, you are enough, you are growing, you are becoming, and no one's light can dim yours unless you hand them the switch. So keep your eyes on your lane. Keep your hands on your plow. Keep your heart anchored in gratitude. Look back only to see how far you've come. Look forward only to walk where you're called. And if you look to the side, let it be to cheer someone else on, not to compare, but to celebrate. You are not called to be better than anyone else. You are called to be the fullest version of yourself. That is the goal, that is the journey, that is the victory, and no thief can steal what you've already decided to protect. Because when you stop comparing, you start flourishing. When you stop chasing someone else's timeline, you start honoring your own. And when you live fully, freely, and faithfully as yourself, you unlock a level of purpose that no imitation could ever reach. So today, reclaim your joy, reclaim your identity, reclaim your story. The thief has been exposed, and what it tried to steal you're taking back. When you try, you are doing more than just moving forward. You are doing more than just making an effort. You are declaring something to the heavens. You are saying to the forces that be, to your fears, to your doubts, to your disappointments, that you are not done yet. You are declaring that something inside of you still believes, something in you still hopes, something in you still dares to reach for more, even when you have tasted failure, even when you have been rejected, even when nothing looks certain. Trying is not a weak gesture, it is a powerful proclamation. It is a spiritual declaration that you are not giving up on the life you were created to live. There are moments in life when all you have is a try. When you don't have clarity, when you don't have certainty, when you don't have applause or support or resources. But if you have the will to try, you still have the seed of transformation. Trying is the voice of your faith speaking louder than your fear. Trying is your soul reaching through the storm to touch a promise it cannot yet see. The act of trying shakes the atmosphere. It sends a signal that you refuse to be bound by your past. It tells every lie that said you were done that there is still breath in your lungs and vision in your heart. Trying is not a sign that you are weak. It is evidence that you are aligned with something higher than your circumstances, that you believe you were born for more, that you believe your pain is not the end of your story, that you trust there is a power working through your obedience, even when you do not yet see the results. Trying doesn't always feel spiritual, but it is. It doesn't always come with music playing in the background or angels singing in the air. Sometimes trying is messy, it's gritty, it's quiet, it's tears in the dark, it's shaking hands writing the first page, it's standing up again when your legs don't feel strong. It's walking back into a place where you failed before, with nothing but the courage to believe it might be different this time. But every time you try, You activate something sacred. You align with the divine rhythm of growth. You step into the flow of faith. Trying is an offering, it's a living prayer. It's your body and soul saying, I may not know what comes next, but I will not stay here. It is the cry of the determined, the heartbeat of the hopeful, the anthem of those who believe that grace meets us not just when we arrive, but when we begin. You don't have to have it all together to try. You don't need the full plan. You don't need the perfect conditions. You just need a yes, a surrendered yes, a trembling yes, a quiet but firm yes. That yes is not just for you, it's for your future. It's for your legacy. It's for the generations who will be blessed because you chose not to quit. Too many people wait for a sign. They wait for the clouds to part. They wait for certainty. But sometimes the sign you're waiting for is inside of you. Sometimes the sign is the very fact that you still feel the urge to try. You still feel the burden to build. You still feel the fire to rise. That inner nudge is not random. It is sacred. It is a signal that your destiny is still calling, and that your response matters more than you think. Trying is not just about outcomes, it's about obedience, it's about aligning your actions with your calling, it's about saying, I will not sit in fear, I will not freeze in failure, I will not make my home in hopelessness. It is the ultimate rebellion against despair. It is your spirit saying, I believe that my next can be greater than my now, even when the last time broke your heart, even when the door slammed shut, even when the ones who said they'd stay walked away. Even then, you try, not because it's easy, not because it's guaranteed, but because your trying is proof that you still carry promise. Trying is sacred because it shifts your posture. It lifts your gaze. It strengthens your resolve. It reminds you that you are not a victim of your past, but a participant in your future. Every time you try, you make a statement, I am not done, I am not finished, I am still becoming. You may be trying with tears running down your face. You may be trying with wounds still healing. You may be trying while hearing the echo of every voice that told you not to bother. But you are still trying, and that is everything. That is holy. That is powerful. That is the sign of someone who has decided to believe beyond what they see. Do not underestimate the weight of your trying. It is not small. It is not insignificant. It is spiritual warfare. It is courage in action. It is the movement that births miracles. It is the spark that lights the fire. Trying tells the truth about who you are, not just what you've done, but who you are becoming. You are not your failure. You are not your fear. You are not your delay. You are not your pain. You are the one who showed up again. You are the one who stood up again. You are the one who tried again, and that makes you unstoppable. The journey will not always feel spiritual. The steps will not always be strong, but the simple act of saying yes and taking one more step is one of the most spiritual acts you will ever perform, because it means you are not bowing to fear. You are not surrendering to shame. You are not settling for what is when you were made for what could be. This is your declaration. Every breath you take, every goal you set, every vision you chase, every risk you take, every failure you recover from, every obstacle you push through, they are all declarations that say, I am alive, I am here, I still believe, I still try. And heaven hears that, heaven responds to that. Destiny moves when you move, purpose breathes when you breathe. Trying is not weakness, it is worship, it is surrender, it is faith in motion, so rise again. Try again, speak again, build again, believe again. Because your trying is not just effort, it is evidence, evidence that purpose still beats in your chest, evidence that destiny still calls your name, evidence that the story is not over yet. You are not waiting for the perfect moment. You are creating it. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a shout into the silence that you are alive with purpose and power. Trying is not just what you do, it is who you are, a believer, a builder, a becoming. Trying is a spiritual declaration, and every time you do it, you are aligning with heaven's plan, agreeing with your calling, and declaring with your life that there is still more to come. So if you're still standing after the heartbreak, after the failure, after the setback, then you already have what it takes to keep trying. You're not empty, you're not defeated, you're not disqualified. You're still full of purpose, full of potential, full of promise. You're not here by accident, and every time you try, you testify that you believe in something bigger than the pain you've been through. Trying says, I am not finished. This life will test your endurance. There will be days you feel forgotten. There will be seasons when your efforts feel invisible, when you plant and water but see no fruit. But the ground is shifting even when it's silent. Something is happening underground inside of you because every try builds strength, every try builds muscle, every try builds character. You are not just trying for an outcome, you're trying for alignment. You're choosing to stand in agreement with the version of yourself that God always intended you to become. You don't need the approval of the crowd to take the next step. You don't need the applause of people to be valuable. You don't need everyone to believe in your vision for it to be real. All you need is the courage to keep showing up, trying again with less support, trying again with more faith, trying again even after the door's closed, trying again with tears still drying on your face, because trying doesn't mean you never fail, it means you refuse to stay down. It means you got up anyway. It means you pushed past the shame, the insecurity, the trauma, and you still said, "There's something in me that won't quit." That's not weakness, that's spiritual resilience, that's divine strength clothed in human form. Let them talk, let them doubt, let them walk away. You don't try for them, you try for the calling that still stirs inside you. You try because your future deserves a chance. You try because your children are watching. You try because there is a dream in you that refuses to die, and trying is how that dream breathes, trying is how that vision lives. Trying is how you prove to yourself that your past doesn't have the power to cancel your purpose. Your trying is not wasted. It's not unnoticed. Heaven sees it. Destiny feels it. Chains are breaking with every step forward. Walls are falling with every tear you wipe away. Trying is how healing happens. Trying is how breakthroughs are born. Trying is how testimonies are written. Your effort is sacred. Your struggle is seen. Your perseverance is a seed, so don't let the delay deceive you. Don't let the silence confuse you. Don't let the wait make you believe you were never meant to rise. This is what growth looks like. It's hard, it's messy, it's uncertain, but it's holy, it's beautiful, it's real. And when you look back one day, you'll realize it wasn't perfection that carried you, it was the decision to keep trying. Every morning you got out of bed, every time you kept going, every prayer you whispered in weakness, every time you started again when it would have been easier to give up. That's what will build your legacy. You are becoming, you are moving, you are declaring with every breath that you still have something to live for. So don't stop, don't shrink, don't settle, try again, try boldly, try fearfully if you must, but try anyway. Because trying is a spiritual declaration, and that declaration is rewriting your story. Right now, keep going. Your next chapter needs you.